This is something that comes up so often, and it is a topic that isn't often far from controversy, and it's whether or not freelance creatives should work for free or for credit. Spoiler alert, they're the same thing. Hi everybody, if you're new to the channel, I'm Rick and I'm a freelance photographer and filmmaker based in the northwest of the UK. And this is part of a new series that I'm calling Freelancer Diaries, and it's sharing my experiences of freelance life as a photographer and filmmaker and what I've learned from it, hoping that I can pass that knowledge on to people that are a bit newer to the journey than I am. Now, I know I'm not that far along, but I have built up a large amount of experience over the last 3 years, and this is something that was more the case in year one, and I think it will affect the new creators, the new freelancers, more than the more experienced one. And that is what to do when somebody wants you to work for them for free or in exchange for what they call credit. So I've been there. I understand how difficult it is to start as a freelancer in pretty much any creative space, especially if you're younger and you haven't built up those contacts yet. It can be really tempting to just go for anything and everything, and quite often that's what we had to do. I had to do so many jobs in my first year that were really low paid or just not much fun or just weren't the kind of things I wanted to do, but that's what we've got to do to survive and to gain experience and to gain the contacts in order to progress our freelance careers in the direction that we want them to go in. Now, as you get more and more work and as you promote yourself more and more, the chances are that someone at some stage will offer you some work for their company in exchange for credit. They will give you a credit. They will attach your name to whatever creative piece you create when they put it out on their channels. So what is credit? Well, credit is a mythical gift that promises incredible value, but is actually worthless. In short, it's normally offered by businesses that haven't budgeted for their creative output as far as their marketing goes. And they look to use newer creatives, newer freelancers, inexperienced creatives to produce work for them in exchange for promotion. So they use your material in their marketing and they say, you created this. So your name gets pushed out in conjunction with the piece of work that you created. That's credit. So basically they want you to do the work for them for free or at your cost in exchange for putting your name up in lights. Or sometimes they may promise future work with themselves, which will be paid. And sometimes it's both. Staggering opportunities await once this credit is earned. The harsh truth is that these future opportunities never normally come. If a company is offering you a future opportunity if you do this thing for free, from my experience and from anecdotal experience, this normally doesn't happen. The next project they want to do, they put the same offer out there to someone else. They find someone else that will do it for free. Unfortunately, in this game, unless you're at the very top, and I'd wager you're not if you're watching this video and considering offering your work for free, then nobody's really going to pay that much attention to you or your work. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Not many people pay attention to my work. Some people might, but a high percentage of those are only likely to be paying attention because they want to take advantage of your situation. You don't want to be forever in that position, holding out hope that this job is the one, this is the one that's going to make me, this is the one where someone will see my name and I'll get these amazing paid jobs to follow. It really, in the high percentage of cases, just doesn't work like that. It's generally just a race to the bottom. And that goes for low paying clients as well. A client that doesn't see the value in creative work, in my case, photography and videography, isn't going to want to pay what you feel like you deserve for it. And nothing is going to change that client's mind, not in the short term anyway. If they don't see it as a valuable asset, they're just going to keep operating in the same way. You want to avoid these type of clients, as tempting as it might be. So what should you do? Well, you need to know your worth. And as a new creative freelancer, that is such a hard thing to do. It is hard to have the confidence that you are worth what you think you're worth. Now, you've made the decision to go freelance. It was probably your choice, but it might not have been. You might have been forced into this through a job loss or redundancy, something like that, just any kind of change of lifestyle. But if you're going freelance, you must know in your heart of hearts that you've got what it takes to do this kind of work for the next few years, maybe the rest of your life. You know what you're capable of and how valuable that product is. Don't be afraid to say no to projects. It's an abundant universe. There's plenty of work out there, especially if you work hard and you treat your clients properly. Say no, wait for something better, and don't demean yourself. Another thing you can do is get better at identifying the culprits, the bad clients. Go with your gut instincts. 9 out of 10 times, I find mine is correct and I make the right decision based on just how I feel about that. This probably does come a little bit from experience, but I find that you know really in your heart of hearts whether it's the right thing to do or not. Look into the history of the client. Does the content they've put out there scream that they've had multiple different creatives working on these videos, these photos, these pieces of copy over the last few years? Does it look like they've had a different person on each task? That's a really big alarm bell that sets off if that's the case. Also remember, there can be exceptions. They're few and far between, but there can be. I once did a job for free and had an agreement in place that the next job with that client would be fulfilled by me and would be paid for. And I was really careful to make sure that that was going to happen. And it did. And I still work with that client now. I'd also suggest considering speculative work. So if you've got a dream client out there and you can create something that would appeal to that client. I've seen people on LinkedIn making videos and taking photos to appeal to people like Nike and Patagonia and really kind of tailoring it to their branding. And that can work really well if you've got the skills to create something like that just to get yourself noticed by them. I don't think there's any harm in that. The harm arises if that business then takes advantage of what you've created. And I guess that's a risk you take if you create something like this. It's a great way of showcasing your skills, your professionalism, and your work ethic. And if your luck's in, you might get a foot in the door by creating something speculative. Or better still, put your talent or your efforts into creating inspiring content about anything and everything you're interested in. It doesn't have to be tailored to a particular brand. If you consistently put out high quality videos showcasing what you can do and build an audience, eventually that will get seen by the right people, and that'll open up potential opportunities beyond what making a speculative video for one brand will. Just get good and get noticed. Finally, just to wrap up, I think this topic kind of touches on a necessary evil in the creative freelance space, especially those that are new to it. If you're fresh out of uni or you're fresh out of leaving a job and, like I say, don't have the contacts in place. It's a world where people are often taken advantage of, unfortunately. And this can also be done in ways that don't seem obvious. There's been a lot of stuff on LinkedIn recently about the dating app Thursday and how they've taken advantage of creators by asking what seem to be fairly straightforward looking questions about marketing, getting responses from talented creatives who are looking to get noticed, but then the company takes these ideas and runs with them themselves. Just be careful about who you do things for and whether or not you think it's worth sharing your ideas, your creations with these brands. I hope that's helped some people out there. Like I say, it can be a quite controversial topic. I know some people will say that they've landed massive gigs from doing free work. You've just got to be careful, and you've just got to make sure that A, you aren't being taken advantage of, and B, you're working for the right kind of brands. It's very obvious if someone's a bit shady and they're just looking to take advantage of you. And when you're new, it might not be obvious, and maybe it is a lesson that we all have to learn from experience, but look out for it. And I wish you luck in your creative endeavors and building up your freelance businesses.